My name is Tom Croce. I grew up in a small town in Massachusetts. Now, I'm telling you this because in my story, I plan on using the F word. Now, if you know people from Massachusetts, you'll understand where I'm going with this. Bartender, do me a favor. Can you turn the fucking Red Sox game on for me? Hey, and when you get a chance too, I need a fucking shot of Jack too. Okay. So, I don't want to offend anybody, so if you do not want to hear the F word in my story, please leave now. My story takes place in Nags Head, North Carolina. I was with my wife, Teresa, my 2 daughters, my brother-in-law, and my sister-in-law. Now, I will tell you, next Saturday, my wife and I will have been married for 34 years. We have a 21-year-old who's down in college in Myrtle Beach, and a 17-year-old who's sitting over here. So, when we were at the beach, they were 2 and 6. Now, everybody thought they were my grandchildren, and that pissed me off. So I had to prove to all the young dads out there I could keep up with them. On the last day of our vacation, I'm in the water. The waves were big. I see this 80-foot wave coming towards me. I said to myself, "You're mine." Well, okay, maybe it was 8 foot. Okay, it was at least 4 foot, okay? Trust me, humor me, will you? Humor me. So all of a sudden, I hit this wave perfectly. I'm body surfing, I go about 20 feet, and then out of the blue, I drop down. The wave collapses on top of me. I go head over heels. My head hits the bottom of the ocean. I snap back. I crawl out of the sea, onto the beach, and these young kids sitting there looking at me thinking, they're all complimenting me on my body surfing. Wow, man, that was pretty cool. So I'm acting like, yeah, I do this all the time, I know what I'm doing. So I head towards where my wife and Teresa is, and she's looking at me with the look. "You're a friggin' idiot," she said. She doesn't say that, but that's the look, like you could have got hurt. Of course, I kind of blow it off. A couple hours later, my neck starts to hurt. Being young and immature in my 40s, I grab 2 Budweisers. I drink one, I put the other one on my neck. So she wants me to go to the hospital, but I said, nah, I'm fine. Well, by the end of the day, I can barely move. She finally convinces me to go to the hospital that evening. So we get to the hospital. I sit down. She goes up to the front, and she gives them all the insurance information. She lets them know what's going on. All I can see is this place is packed, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be here all night. I don't want to be here. Well, within 5 minutes, I see 2 nurses coming towards me. One has a gurney, and the other one has a backboard. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, this is not good. The one nurse straddles me, holds me down. The other one puts the backboard down my back, and I start screaming bloody murder. They get me to the back room. Now they tell me that I was the 4th person in that day, and every single one had a broken neck. So they had to be careful about what was going on. So I go into x-rays, I come out, and they tell me that they think one of my necks has a cracked bone in it, but they really can't tell. They have to ship me to the nearest trauma center, Norfolk, Virginia, 100 miles away. So they load me up in the ambulance, pump me full of morphine. I'm headed up to Norfolk. Now they tell Teresa, take your time, you don't follow the ambulance, just get there when you can. Well, about halfway up, the morphine starts to wear off. Now I had my head duct taped down so I couldn't move. I was strapped in, and there was a piece of metal sticking in my neck. Well, the morphine started to wear off, and now I can feel this thing, and I'm in pain. So I asked them if they could do anything about it, and they said no. Well, that's when I started cussing again. Next thing I know, they gave me more morphine. So I get to the hospital. I go in for more x-rays. Teresa shows up. Now it's about midnight. and they tell me that I have what they call a stable fracture. The doctor says you'll be okay. It's sort of like between a sprained neck and a broken neck. He said, okay, you'll be okay. We'll, get you settled in. You have to spend the night. You can go home. You'll be out of here by noon. I said, okay. Well, Teresa finally shows up. She gets me settled in. 1 o'clock in the morning, she has to drive back to Nag's Head because she has to get this is the last day of our vacation. She has to get the cottage all packed up with the 2 kids. Then she has to come pick me up. So about 8 o'clock the next morning, Teresa calls me. She said, hey, I'll be there about noon. Now, anybody who tells me noon, I expect them there at 11:45. That's just the way I am. Always early for everything. Teresa calls me at noon. She says, we're running a little late. We're just leaving Nag's Head. Now, normally I'd be upset, but I got pretty nurses taking care of me. I've got a clicker for the TV, a clicker for the radio, a clicker for the bed. I'm on drugs. And all I kept saying, and I don't remember this, but she kept saying, all I kept saying was, no problem, take your time. So she shows up about 2:30. I'm ready to go. No doctor. So I settle back in, we all have a conversation. 3:30, drugs are wearing off. I want to go home. I get up, start getting dressed. Nurse says, where you going? I said, I'm going home. She says, well, the doctor hasn't released you yet. I said, let me fucking tell you something. I'm out of here right now with or without that doctor's release form. Right then, the doctor shows up, signs the papers. We're on our way home. Construction, traffic, you name it, it wasn't a good day. Raining. So Teresa's driving down the road. I got no medication in me. Everything she does, I'm blaming her for all my pain. Why are you following that car so closely? Don't hit the brakes so hard. Don't stop so hard. Look out for that pothole. Well, about that time, my daughter, 2-year-old daughter, sitting behind Teresa in the car seat, gets out of her car seat. She's standing between the 2 of us. Teresa goes to reach for her. The car goes like this, off the breakdown lane, 2-inch slip, up and down. I start screaming, stop the fucking car right now. She stops the car, I get out. I start walking down the highway, in the rain. She pulls up next to me, rolls the window down, calm voice, what are you doing? I said, I'm fucking walking home. She says, well, you do realize we're 200 miles away, right? I said, I don't give a shit. So she finally convinces me to get back into the car. She says, we are stopping at the next CVS and getting you drugs. So we pull up to the CVS, pouring out rain. She goes inside to the CVS with the kids in the rain. She comes out 45 minutes later. I said, what took you so long? Wrong thing to say. She hands me 4 Percocet. And I said, honey, are you sure I'm supposed to take 4? And she looks at me and in a smile, she says, yes. The directions say men over 40 riding in a car with a broken neck with a wife and 2 children take 4. I said, okay, you don't have to have an attitude. I said, I do have feelings, Well, the next thing I know, I wake up, I'm in my own bed. At first I thought I was dreaming, but then I felt the pain. About that time, the door opens up. The light is shining from the window onto the door. Teresa's standing there, the light is shining on her. She has a sandwich, a drink, more drugs. It's like an angel sitting right there. And all my pain went away. And that's my story.